Hey friends, it's Heather. I am back with another process video for Butterfly Reflections Inc. I am working on a 12 by 12 layout. That is a picture of my daughter and my mother from a few weeks ago. We were taking a stroll through the park and I hope I'm not the only one, but my daughter is not always willing to just allow me to take photos. So when I can sneak them in, I definitely want to scrap them. And it actually turned out to be a really pretty picture. So the colors in the picture, though, were kind of light. I didn't edit it really. I don't know, it just kind of turned out that way. So I really wanted to make the layout sort of light and airy, if that makes sense. And I also wanted to really use this butterfly die. It is from Spellbinders. It's called Cascading Butterflies. And I apologize for the reflection. I have a fan and ceiling light, and that currently is the only form of light that I have in my room, and for the most part it works fine, but obviously with that piece of acetate you can see the reflection, so I apologize. And so I cut this die several times out of white cardstock and fun foam, like the fun foam you get from Michael's or Walmart. And I also wanted to cut out the shape and acetate so I could create little shaker butterfly pockets. Yeah, that turned out to be a lot of work, which I'm not totally against, but it was not as easy as I thought it would be. I was trying to trace it, and I couldn't use the die because the die actually cuts the outline as well as the inner butterfly. So after cutting all of these, I actually had a ton of leftover butterflies, and you'll see what I ended up doing with the cardstock ones, as well as some of the foam ones. Yeah, don't throw any of that kind of stuff away. You can always reuse it. So my thought is to have the butterflies like flying across the page, and one of them you can see is covered in glitter. So the first one that I cut, I also put some stick it adhesive sheet on it, and I used that to apply the vintage platinum glitter from Ranger. I love that glitter, by the way. I'm glad that it comes in such a big container, but I love the shade of gold that glitter is. So I really wanted to use it, but it seemed kind of odd to me. I couldn't incorporate it anywhere else, and I don't know, I felt like I needed to have another element that had that glitter on it. And at first I thought about taking some of the butterflies that were also cut with the die and adding them, but I don't know, it just didn't look the way I wanted it to look. I can't really explain it, but I will keep it for another project, definitely. So I end up having 3 groups there. 2 of them have acetate on them because it really was kind of a pain to cut that out and attach it in between the white cardstock layer and the fun foam layer. It was just a big shaker pocket. So one of them doesn't have the acetate, but in real life, you really, well, in the video, you really can't tell, but I add sequins to all 3 sections of butterflies, which you'll see coming up. But before I do that, I took a piece of white cardstock and added some clear gesso, and I use clear gesso because white gesso is not the same white as the white cardstock, and you can always see where the edge is, and I don't like that. So I am adding some distress ink. You've seen this a million times probably. It's nothing new, but it is a tried and true method. I don't really have any rhyme or reason as to how I put it on usually, and this, because the butterflies it's just the outline, and you see a lot of the color coming through, and that was the idea. So Other than a couple other embellishments at the end and the sequins, that's really the only color. So because the picture turned out to be, light, that's what I wanted the layout to be as well. So I am matting my photo with a piece of pattern paper from a 6x6 paper pad. It's Fancy Pants, and I don't remember what it's called. It was a collection from last summer collection. I can't recall. I apologize. So I just matted it with a couple of pattern papers. I didn't want to add too much other color. I really wanted the butterflies to be the main focal point, other than the picture, of course. But to add just a little bit more texture, I am using a stencil and some texture paste. This is Dreamweaver's translucent texture paste. I've used this before if you've watched my previous videos. It dries clear, but it does have a little bit of a sheen to it. So you can see it right there in the light. It catches the light, and it's not matte at all, but it does dry clear, so you won't see the white pattern, which is what I was looking for. So those are butterflies that were cut from the inside of the outline. Does that make sense? You know what I mean. And I stitched several of them together, and I'm going to place them on top of some of the outline butterflies. And so I mentioned earlier that I didn't put acetate on all 3 of those sections. I put the foam butterfly in it, so I had the stacked cardstock butterflies to sit on. I just made that sound really confusing. I hope not. I think you can tell what I'm doing. It's kind of self-explanatory, I think, for the most part. I had a good time making this because it's a little outside of my normal scope, because I'm usually about adding as much color as possible. I have attempted monochromatic layouts in the past, and they're actually difficult for me. I don't know why that is. And this is not exactly monochromatic. I guess no, because the sequins that I add are different colors. And at first I was thinking I would keep it monochromatic, but I didn't have that many different shades of sequins. And I really wanted to add in sort of a like peachy coral colors. You'll see from the sequins. So that is the one that doesn't have the acetate. I can't talk today. Anyway, I'm gluing that one down, and the butterfly cluster to the right of that, I actually cut down. So it's not complete, but I did that so they weren't all the same. So I flipped a couple of them, and then I cut one down just so it was a little bit different. And I am just stacking the machine. Oh my goodness, there I go again. Maybe I should have just played music with this one. I've never done that before, but I have thought about it. I have mixed feelings about that. Honestly, sometimes I play YouTube in the background when I'm doing something else. I like to listen, and I'll look at the video, but for the most part, I like to listen. It's sometimes it's my background noise, and but if there's music playing, then I don't end up watching, or I don't watch it at that time. There are still some videos where they don't do voiceovers, and I still watch them. It's just I am a big multitasker, and sometimes I feel like if I'm just sitting down doing nothing but watching a video, that I don't know, I feel like I should be doing something else. I know that's terrible. Sometimes you should just sit down and watch a video. But even while watching TV, which I don't do very often, I'm doing something else. I am organizing something. I'm stitching something. Is anybody else like that? I don't know. I feel like I'm wasting time if I'm just doing one thing at a time. Now that I'm saying that, it sounds horrible. I do relax. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like if I could be doing something with my hands while the TV is on, then I don't know, using my time more wisely. Am I the only one? Please comment down below and let me know I'm not the only one who thinks like that. So, okay, anyway, back to the layout. I am adding some sequins. I am using sequins from Spiegel Mom Scraps and Pretty Pink Posh. And there's a couple of them that I'm using from my stash, so I don't know where they came from. And then I'm also using from Neat and Tangled. So the blue ones that I'm adding now are from my stash. Yeah. And I am just adding them with my tweezers right there. And I know that I'm doing this, sorry about my head there, guys. I know that I'm doing this a little bit backwards, but I didn't want to add a backing to my butterflies because then you wouldn't see the ink and the texture paste as clear. So what I did was I sort of traced the outline of the butterfly. I added some globs of glossy accents, which is what's in my applicator bottle, that precision tip applicator bottle, which I've mentioned a few times before, and I love it. I will never go back to just a regular glossy accents bottle. And then I just added some sequins. So the ones that I just added there, there's sort of a wood grain and a light blue. Those are from Spiegel Mom Scraps. And there's some mint. I think it's fresh mint. Those are from Pretty Pink Posh. Those are on the left-hand screen right now. I'm going to add those. So typically, if you make a shaker pocket, you would, I don't know, put the foam down on the back. This is how I do it anyway. Then you add the acetate and it's a little bit easier, but I didn't want to have a backing to these. I wanted the back to be the cardstock, my actual background. So that's why I'm doing it this way. So I trace the butterfly very, very lightly, and then I'm just sporadically adding them. Those sequins right there, you see that mix, those are from Spiegel Mom Scraps. And I apologize, I do not know the sequin mix names right now. I have a tendency when I get new products to discard the packaging it came in. It's a terrible habit. I need to get used to not doing that. I need to label it, and I have been trying to do that. But anyway, if you want to know what they are specifically, I will find out, and please leave me a comment and I will get back to you. So right now I'm just showing you what I did with the leftover butterflies. I had a lot of foam ones, and I actually have some heart foam, some foam hearts, so the backwards from another project. And then I was thinking, I'm going to color these because that's what foam thicker embellishments are when you get those foam thickers. I mean, mine don't look as clean as theirs, but they are the same nonetheless. And I love the way it looks. So I added 2 or 3 of those here and there. And that is really the bulk of my layout. It was time consuming because of all the layers, but I love the way it turns out. I hope that you do too. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. And I really appreciate you watching. And I will be back soon with another layout. Thanks again. I appreciate your support and have a great day. Bye.